Hello beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. Pots and Petals here, everything garden and allotment related. It is Saturday morning, it's about 8:30, so it's quite early, but I think we're in for quite a beautiful day today. The sun is shining, and there's not many clouds in the sky, and the birds are singing their hearts out. I've heard the robin, and I think I've also heard a song thrush this morning. It's got a beautiful song. So yes, we're definitely in for quite a lovely day. At the moment, it's quite cold down here. We had a really strong hard frost overnight, which I wasn't expecting, so I will need to warm myself up with a cup of coffee shortly, but I mean we have got plenty to crack on with today. So the two main jobs really are, I do want to try and repair my shed. At the back of my shed we do have a fence panel, but that's all started to rot out, and that means the rats are getting in there quite easily. So I was going to try and replace it with some wood. However, wood is so expensive at the moment, so I had a little look online and I have found some metal sheeting, some galvanized steel. So we're going to have a go at repairing the back of the shed with some of that in just a moment. And then the other thing that I would like to do is remove the gooseberry plants from underneath the pear tree, and then I've brought a sort of metal corrugated raised bed, so we're going to fix that together and get that underneath the pear tree so that we can plant some bulbs and some other little flowers in there, just so that we can get some more of the pollinators in here over the spring and the summertime. They are the two main jobs that I'd like to get done down here today, but as you know, there's always some other little bits and bobs along the way, so I'll bring you along and see what else we can get done down here. Oh, one thing that I must say is last night I've actually ordered a wildlife camera. So it's one of these that films in the dark. I think it takes some rechargeable batteries. So I brought everything. They should be ordered today, so fingers crossed if it's a nice day tomorrow. I've got a few jobs that I need to get done in the morning, but I might pop up here and try and set that up and see what we can find, what's going on around here on the plot at night. I've definitely found some hedgehog poo down here before, so we might see some hedgehogs. I know we've got foxes. I've even seen a deer down here before, so I do know we get lots of wildlife, and it's quite exciting as to what we're going to capture on that wildlife camera. So yes, stay tuned for that to see what's been going on down here on the plot of the night time when we're not down here. Right, so I need to empty my car. I've got the raised bed in there, and I've also got loads of wood which I found. So on our industrial estate where I work, we've got loads of factories around there that get rid of pallet wood, all sorts of wood, and they had some really nice planed wood the other day. So I filled my car up, so we need to go and empty that, get the raised bed out, and also some of these metal sheets so that we can go and repair the back of the shed. So I'm going to empty the car, make a cup of coffee, warm myself up, and then we're going to start with the shed repair. So come on guys. So this here is my main shed, and this is the shed that I had the problem with the rats in. So we're just going to go behind here and I'll show you what's causing the problem. You'll have to excuse the mess down here. It is just the back of my shed, so nothing really happens around here. But as you can see, this fence panel here is starting to rot just a little bit, especially down here where some of the boards are starting to fall off, and this is where old Ratty is starting to get into my shed. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove all of these boards, this whole fence panel, and then we're going to install some of the metal cladding that I brought off Amazon. So there we go, that is the back wall off now. Now we've just got to have everything crossed that I'm going to be able to finish this job on my own, because otherwise this is going to be a rather cold and wet shed for a week or so. This down here is some of the metal cladding that I've bought. I was looking at some wood, but it's just so expensive at the moment. Just to do the back of my shed and some standard plywood, it would have cost me about £150, and if I wanted the good stuff, the marine board, I was looking at about £250, and that just seemed a little bit too extortionate just to build the back of my shed. So I've done a little research online and I've found these galvanised steel roof cladding, and I got these off Amazon. They're only 50 quid, so it is a fraction of the price, and it comes with 12 sheets. Now I thought that this would be good because it's galvanised steel, so the rats are going to have a real hard time trying to get through that. I mean, I wouldn't say it's impossible for rats, but also it's waterproof, it's quite flexible as well, and yeah, it's a lot cheaper than the wood. So we're going to use this stuff. I've got 12 sheets, but we probably shouldn't need them all, and I'm just going to overlap them and screw these into the back, and hopefully this will build the perfect wall at the back of the shed. So there we go, guys, that is from the inside. That is the back wall now complete, so that doesn't look too bad at all. So we'll just go and have a little look around the back. You can see all at the bottom there, that is where I was using the expandable foam previously, and the rats have tried to nibble through, so I will come behind here at some point and just give that a bit of a tidy up and take that home and chuck that in the bin. But yes, that is the back all done. I was a little bit worried that I did need another pair of hands, but in the end it worked out quite well, and I'm quite chuffed with that. When I first came down here this morning, these broad beans were covered in a real hard frost, and they're looking a little bit sulky and a little bit sad, so I am hoping that these guys will bounce back. The problem that we have is that we were meant to sow these, they're spring sown broad beans, but we sowed them in October, November time in the autumn. So let's just have everything crossed that they do fine, and that come springtime we will have some healthy broad bean plants. Right, so the next job on the list is, this is the pear tree, and just under here we have got some grass growing amongst a load of gooseberries in here. So I want to get rid of the gooseberries. I've got an oak tree growing and also an ash, so we'll see if we can transfer those. And then under here I've just bought a raised bed, a corrugated metal one, so we're going to put that up, and hopefully that should fit quite nicely under here. So this down here is the mighty oak tree. Now the trunk is quite a bit thicker than what I thought it was going to be, so it's probably not going to transplant too well. And thinking about it, I don't think I've got enough space for a massive oak tree down here on the plot. So what I am going to do with a heavy heart is I am just going to chop this little guy down. Here's the little ash tree. We're going to see if we can transplant this guy. So we're going to dig him up, try and get as much of the roots as possible, and then we're going to pop him over in the little nature area around the back of the shed. So there we go, we've dug this little guy up. I was hoping to get a little bit more of the root ball, but the thing with any tree is when they are quite small saplings, you'll find that they do have quite a long taproot to begin with. So I've tried to get as much of that as possible, and we're just going to head over to the wildlife area and dig a little hole and bury this guy up. So once you've dug the hole, you want to plant the tree at the same level as what you dug it up from. So you don't want to plant it any deeper because that might cause it to rot off. And if you've got quite a big root ball and it is quite wide, try and dig your hole as wide as possible so that you don't have to disturb that root ball. But this is quite small, so we're just going to plonk this in, cover it up, and hopefully he will take and he will start to grow. I've just come to plant the tree. Look at him. Hey! You're a pretty little guy. It was only a couple of months ago I got some bargain daffodils and I stuck them in the corners of the asparagus bed and they're already starting to show, so it's not too long guys and spring will be on the way. Now that we've cleared underneath the pear tree, I want to assemble the raised bed that I got. So it's made out of corrugated metal. This is from B&Q. I think it was meant to be about 50 or 60 pounds, but I got it for 25. So a little bit of a bargain. In here, we have got 6 pieces of the corrugated metal. So we've got 2 straight bits, and then we've got 4 of the rounded ones. I will just pop a little picture of the instructions as well, just so you can see how this is put together. Then you also get some of the bolts, the screws, and an Allen key as well, so that you can screw those on. And then you also get a bit of plastic, so it's like a seal which you will put around the top once it's all been put together. So yeah, let's try and get this all fixed up. So I've unwrapped 2 of the straight edges, and I'll tell you what, the curved edges are really hard to pull this off. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this all home and I'm going to try and unwrap them at home, because I don't want all of this plastic flying around down here on the plot. I really don't know why they've done it. It is a right hassle to try and get off, and it's really not needed. So yeah, we'll take these home, unwrap them at home, and then either tomorrow or next weekend we can build the actual raised bed. From all the little bits and bobs that we've bought for down here on the allotment, we've now got loads of cardboard. Now I could take it home and we could chuck it into the recycling. However, cardboard can be really handy down here on the plot. Now it's a little bit late in the year now, but in wintertime you could use this cardboard to cover up some of your beds just to help protect that soil and lock in the nutrients. Now I used to sometimes put a little layer of compost on first of all, and then I'd put the cardboard on top, and then over winter that will rot down and the worms will actually bring it down into the soil, and any bits that you then have left over you can just chuck onto the compost heap. Cardboard can be a great weed membrane as well, so if you're making a raised bed or perhaps a compost heap, you could put a load of cardboard down on the bottom just to stop some of those weeds from growing through. Finally, you can use this in your compost heap. So if you found that you've put quite a lot of green material in there and it's getting a little bit wet and a little bit sludgy, you can use some of this cardboard. So what I would do is I would tear it up into smaller pieces and just sprinkle it throughout the compost heap and then sort of dig it in a little bit, and eventually that will soak up some of that moisture and just add some more carbon into that mix. One thing I should say, if you are using the cardboard and it's got sellotape all over it, don't put it onto your plot with all the sellotape. Do take the time just to go around and remove all of that plastic sellotape. Now you might be lucky and you might have some of the brown paper tape that they use, but if it is the sort of sellotape stuff, do remove it because it will break down into that soil. That is all we've got time for today, folks. I'm a little bit upset with that raised bed because it is covered in plastic, so I will have to take that home because little bits were flying all over the plot, which isn't great. So we'll take that home, and either tomorrow or next weekend we can get that put together, filled up, and get that underneath the pear tree. Now if I do come down here tomorrow, it will probably be in the afternoon, so it probably will be quite a short video. I'm just hoping that we get that night cam so that we can see what's going on in the wildlife down here. I'll probably put it around near the pond. So if that gets delivered today, then I will be down here tomorrow installing that, and I'll bring you guys along with me. Looking at the plot now, you'd never have thought that it was covered in a real hard frost this morning. It's turned out to be a beautiful day. It's probably about 10 degrees, so it's not cold down here now, and I think tomorrow is meant to be another beautiful day as well. So fingers crossed I will be back down here tomorrow for another adventure down on the plot. Now don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you guys very soon. So take care, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.